All right, so he's betting that we're going to agree with him as it relates to his first application of gene therapy. The first application of gene therapy is the intervention that raises someone who falls well below the critical level of normal human health to within that critical level of normal human health. And he's betting that we're going to regard the use of genetic engineering medical technology and curing dysfunction, curing disability in the same way that we regard other medical technologies that allow us to raise people out of dysfunction, out of disability into that normal range of human health. Now, what he's hoping is that since we agree with him on this application of gene therapy, that we will also agree with him on a second application of gene therapy. And this application involves not raising people out of a state of disability or dysfunction, but modifying their genes in order to add protections against possible future dysfunctions. And you can sort of see this came up in public conversation back in, I think it was 2015, 2018, when The Economist put out this cover story, Editing Humanity, the Prospect of Genetic Enhancement, right? And so you can see here that the features that are associated with this baby, they're not superhero kinds of features. This baby's not going to be a genetic freak. It's just that they're going to have protections built in that would make them less prone to things like Alzheimer's, breast cancer, strokes, and those kinds of things. These are just protections that are going to keep that baby, as it goes through its life, from suffering potential future harms. And Harris puts the question to us this way. He says, are we morally obligated to prevent possible dysfunction when we can? And this is what he asks. The question we must address is whether it would be wrong to fail to protect individuals in ways like these, that is, alter their genes to provide immunity from AIDS, hepatitis B, malaria, aging, shortness, etc., which would effectively enhance their function rather than cure dysfunction. To answer this question, we need to know whether to fail to protect individuals whom we could protect in this way would constitute a harm to them. In other words, if we have the ability to genetically alter someone so that they have additional protections against future dysfunction, would we be harming them if we didn't genetically alter in those protections? And he says this would be analogous to an aircraft manufacturer knowing that it had certain safety mechanisms that it could be installing on airplanes to help them avoid catastrophes like airline crashes. And an aircraft manufacturer who didn't put those available protections into the plane would probably be thought to have done something morally wrong, even if the plane didn't crash, because they have this opportunity to use an available safety mechanism, and choosing not to do it and putting people at greater risk would be seen as unethical. Okay, so what Harris is saying to us is, well, doesn't that same thing apply then to our genes? So whenever I come across this part in Harris, I always think, like, what if my mom told me today, you know, when you were gestating, they offered me this ability to alter your genes so that you would have just gorgeous flowing hair for the rest of your life and you wouldn't be bald. But I thought, nah, what does he need all that hair for? If I found out that she did that, I'd feel wronged. I'd feel harmed. It's like, why didn't you alter my genes so that I could have that long flowing hair for the rest of my life? You had that available to you. You didn't take advantage of that. And now I'm suffering the harm of baldness. And that's what, and Harris is wanting us to think about this in terms of greater harms than just being bald. But he's pushing the line here a little bit. He's saying, look, if you agree with me that we should be using genetic engineering to raise people out of dysfunction, shouldn't we also be using genetic engineering in anticipation of possible future dysfunction?